This is the News Made Simple podcast with myself, Cory, Luke Mikic, and Phil Gibson. Um, well, there's a lot to get into today because holy crap, the sky is falling. But outside of the sky falling, I hope you put your stuff in a Bitbox O2 hardware wallet from Shift Crypto because then you wouldn't have panic sold. So get that deep cold storage like we all have because then you can't touch that stuff and yeah, you won't be able to go open your phone and sell it immediately at a terrible price. So get yourself a Bitbox O2 hardware wallet from Shift Crypto. Go to shiftcrypto.ch/Bitcoin made simple. Use the promo code Bitcoin made simple to get 5% off. Let's throw it around the horn. Luke, what in the world is going on?
Most volatile week in financial markets of the past 2 decades, I reckon. I think it's absolute madness out there. I think the mortgage-backed security market went no bid last Friday in the United States. Treasury markets illiquid on Monday morning. Bond traders are struggling to actually sell US treasuries. And then literally 30 minutes ago this morning, the Japanese modern monetary theory experiment just failed. Like literally the yields on the JGBs, which is the Japanese government 10-year bond, just doubled in the past hour. So that
Doubled in
literally
an hour.
doubled in an hour. They smashed through that 0.25% peg and they're like 0.45%. So
Yikes.
absolute carnage in financial markets right now. Well, what do you guys want to break down first?
Well,
Anything
I
caught your
mean,
eye?
I mean, we'd be idiots to not mention that. Thank God we got a 75 basis point raise because this is the correction that we need, even if it's being done by central planners. This isn't about inflation. This is about wrecking markets to protect the dollar. That's basically it. So all you Bitcoin normies out there, it's about nuance. It's not about money printing to go burr. Like, yeah, that's why we're here, but we don't need that to have Bitcoin moon. This is the restructuring of the financial system. And this is the Fed doing everything that it can in its power with the tools that it has to maintain its dominance, as I so often harp on here, probably every single News Made Simple episode that we fucking do. So buckle up. And if you're still long bonds for whatever reason, you're an idiot. Because for once, we're going to see a bear market in bonds, which we haven't really seen in decades. So buckle up. I'm actually very excited because this is the hard, heavy bleed that the cantillionaires have needed. We've needed from them because they're just siphoning off the wealth and productivity of the private sector. And when capital is too expensive, like 75 basis point raises will do, then it totally reverses all the productivity, or not productivity, lack of productivity, all the I guess like the fiat wealth accumulation that they have. And Bitcoin is down, like hard assets are down. Just look at that as a sale because they are pretty much going to try to pick you up by your ankles and shake out all the corn out of your pockets. Don't let them do that. Don't be stupid. Get your coins off an exchange. Use a Bitbox. And if you have any extra cash, which everybody should be cash heavy, because we're going to go into a deep recession, if not depression, shortly, then just be cash heavy. Don't be stupid with your money and pick up as much Bitcoin as you possibly can.
So here's the question.
That's what we're looking at.
Here's the question, Phil. If the US is going to raise rates aggressively to attack the Eurodollar market and attack the ECB, I love that. I love that thesis. I'm open to it. It's something I'm looking at openly. But
you're open to it.
Yeah, how high can the US actually raise yields without bankrupting themselves?
I mean, I don't know, and I don't really care because the US isn't the one that goes bankrupt. The ECB does.
Well, that's right.
The reserve currency.
The ECB goes bankrupt first, but how about things like the mortgage-backed security market going no bid last Friday, and then we have Treasury market going illiquid on Monday?
I mean, that's going to be in the short term, right? But with capital flight into the US, I mean, doesn't that kind of offset the QE that they would otherwise do?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think so. I don't think capital's flowing into the mortgage-backed security market at the moment. And I actually think if we're
I
talking
mean,
about
does it
capital,
have to be the mortgage-backed security market necessarily? Does it have to be?
well, let's look at the bond market. I think so.
I mean,
Japan,
honestly, this is kind of where it goes like beyond my pay grade.
yeah.
But
So
again, like markets be damned. Like it doesn't matter what markets are doing.
so I'm fascinated to whether we see a power pivot or not. I'm literally on the fence. I've got splinters in my balls. 6 months ago, I was 100% hyperinflation moon boy. The Fed's never going to be able to meaningfully raise rates. They haven't meaningfully raised rates yet, though. They're still behind the curve by what, 6%? Inflation's 9%. Fed funds is like 1. So what's that? A negative yield of 8%. They're still running deeply negative yields. I just think shit's breaking in the financial markets. I think Japan holds the most US treasuries out of any country around the world. They hold $1 trillion of treasuries. And if their yield curve control program just broke because there's a dollar shortage in Japan, it looks as if they're going to have to sell treasuries.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Japan is a little satellite proxy that the US dumps their inflation on because that's the main goal, is to strengthen the dollar by destroying every other currency, causing capital flight into the United States.
All I can say is grab your popcorn, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be an interesting week. The last 6 days have been absolute carnage. And I think the next 6
I
days
keep saying this, but would you rather have this? Like both outcomes are shitty, but this is the less shitty one. Would you rather have this, or would you rather have like Davos panopticon communism under Klaus Schwab as he laughs, drinking a pina colada in his banana hammock as we suffer?
I love that. I love that. No, I mean, like, I get it. I get why the US is fighting Davos. I get why the US is fighting the Great Reset by aggressively raising rates. The ECB is going to go bankrupt first, but the US markets look as if they're going no bid, look as if there's no liquidity.
But that's the thing, they
there.
don't care about markets. So yeah, people are going to suffer. People are going to lose jobs. They don't care.
They don't care about US treasuries?
I mean, they do. That's why they're raising these rates, to show everybody that the Fed is serious and that they're going to raise rates. And I mean, as Tom Longo says, raising these rates make everybody biblically short dollars. So they run $2 and you probably save your wealth in dollars and US treasuries. So they're going to start buying those bonds, which is going to decrease the yield on those bonds. Is that not how that works?
Yeah.
I mean, so you guys are more econ guys, and I'm
Barely.
smooth brain Neanderthal movie guy. But it looks like this was the only option. This was the only play. Like,
Yeah.
So first of all, they don't care about people in jobs and all that kind of stuff. You're right, Luke, or Phil. But they definitely.
Well, I won't even go that far, because we might be like laughing at Europe right now, but I think like Powell didn't want to do this. I mean, like you saw that video of Magoo, that Magoo shared of him like shaking, and I'm like, like his body language was the last thing that I looked at. But I was like, I made a joke. Like, oh, he's just old man. He's got palsy, but you'd be nervous too if you were breaking the euro, right? But then again, like you see him shaking. Maybe he didn't actually want to do this. Like he knew he had to. Like you said, Cory, like it was like the only option that didn't end in complete carnage. But I mean, everybody's freaking out and everybody's coping in legacy markets because to them it does feel like complete carnage. But they're just like in denial because they've been so long in traditional markets that they don't know really what sanity in investing looks like, because fiat has basically distorted their perception.
Yeah,
and
stocks
so that's
aren't
why
supposed to
we're
go
here.
down.
Yeah,
Like stocks aren't supposed to go down. And it was funny, like I was talking to somebody and I said, like they, mentioned Bitcoin obviously, and I was like, well, don't look at your stock portfolio. I don't have one of those, but it's like, don't look at that. not going to be pretty. If you're looking for something to be like, haha, I had that instead. I think magically the only thing that you could have held was dollars. Those imaginary, they call it fake internet money. We'll call that fake.
Still fake internet money.
Yeah, it's.
And here's the really dangerous thing about holding dollars, because I heard somebody said you want to have a cash position. I'm not sure if that was on air or off air, but if you have the view that the Fed's going to break markets, so they're going to aggressively raise rates to bankrupt the European banking system, to bankrupt the world, starve the world of dollars. If that is your view, that means that they're probably, if you're watching markets in the US also break down, so the MBS market breaking down, the treasury market breaking down, that means banks in the US would also be feeling the pinch. You're watching high yield markets break down. So if you are holding dollars because they're the only asset on the world that's appreciating, I feel like a repeat of the 2008 GFC, where the banking system was literally minutes away from freezing.
Yeah,
I think that's a repeat. So I would be cautious of holding dollars in the bank.
yeah, but the problem with that is that it was a global financial breakdown. Now that debt is indexed on SOFR, the US is just, we don't give a shit.
But here's the
about
thing:
everyone else.
the MBS market and the treasury market, they're US specific markets, and they're breaking down. See, I was hoping 2 months ago that now that the US has separated itself from LIBOR and they're using the SOFR interest rate, I was very interested. I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe the US will be able to raise rates and the banking system in the US will be able to handle those high rates better than the ECB. That was my view a month or two ago. I'm less hopeful after seeing this week of market conditions in the United States. The ECB's worse, I agree. The ECB just had to come out this week and they literally said, okay, we need to have an emergency meeting. Okay, yeah. Christine Lagarde came out yesterday and said, we need to hold an emergency meeting because the bond market in the European Union is absolutely melting down. And this came 6 days after they just had a meeting. So normally they have these meetings monthly and they never meet again unless it's a monthly thing. But she had to call a meeting 6 days later because that's how quickly and rapidly the financial markets are deteriorating. So yeah, okay. I get it. The Europe's worse than the US, but the US markets are melting down as well. So
do you think that the Fed will go like the full way? I mean, you're saying yes. they had, you didn't like his body language looked like he didn't like what he was doing or nervous or, shaky. Does that mean this is the worst it gets, or are they going to keep raising?
No, they're going to keep raising because you need to break every other market in the globe. So you have capital flight come to the US.
So really the only thing you're saying what you see, the only thing strengthening in the short term is the dollar.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, so, this is a Bitcoin podcast. So let's couple that with what's going on. And I'll just be honest, like I have never seen this sentiment before, and I was loosely paying attention before 2020, but 2020 is when I bought in. So this is actually, yeah, this is the worst sentiment I've seen, the excitement's gone, the retail's gone.
Yeah, because again, we can zoom back out and look at what elites like Vanguard, BlackRock, even, maybe the ECB, whoever, they're trying to sell off all their hard assets, gold, silver, even Bitcoin. And they're trying to break those crypto markets on purpose because they know exactly what it is. You have Christine Lagarde say that Bitcoin's an escape hatch. So they need to scare out retail. Stupid, ignorant, brand new retail that don't know what the fuck this thing is. So that's why it's important to have heavy cash position to cover your ass everywhere else financially, and also to accumulate as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. Sentiment is merely just that, because people don't know what it is that they are buying, and they don't know the influence that other large markets have. And those other market players are trying to just scare everybody out because they don't want you to be self-sovereign. They don't want you to put your own Bitcoin on your BitBox02 hardware wallet and just take control of your finances on your own.
Shiftcrypto.ch/Bitcoin made simple. Use the promo code Bitcoin made simple to get 5% off. Sorry, you froze there, so I started riffing that. You froze, and I riffed the link. But yeah, they don't want that. They don't want you to be sovereign. I saw somebody float the idea. It might have been Hodl, I can't remember, but it was like, from a Bitcoin perspective, like, here, this is the opportunity. Let's break everything. Let's scare the crap out of everybody. Get everybody to run off and sell off, and then turn around and go, okay, now we're regulating the crap out of this because this is too dangerous. Blah blah blah, and everybody that was in is now going to be caught in a regulatory net.
I mean, again, like, they can try, but you're just sounding like a fudster, Cory.
No, I'm not saying that they'll succeed. I'm saying, isn't that what, like, wouldn't that be one of their cards to play?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Terra Luna, and we can expect that to keep happening. But again, that's why you take your Bitcoin off the exchange.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, we talk about the savings and everything, and like, I'll reiterate to people, like, you need to, and like Phil, like you were saying, have a cash position. I mean, have your 6 months of runway where you can protect yourself in the event that you need to. But all the other stuff, in my mind, I actually write it off as it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, I put something in cold storage, then it doesn't exist as something I can use.
Yeah.
And if you operate your life like that, I mean, my recommendation to people is to buy Bitcoin with money that you don't plan on touching for 4 years, and then just see where you're at in 4 years. And I bet you'll be in a pretty good position. But unfortunately, not everybody does that. The bartender that I tipped in Bitcoin on the way to the Bitcoin conference is probably sitting there going like, holy crap, my tip got cut in half.
Yeah. I gave my dad like $150 during Christmas. He's just like, yeah, looking at that is my index of where Bitcoin is. I'm like,
yep. Yeah, I gave my sister and brother-in-law for their wedding last June. I gave them $150 in Bitcoin at $35, or $35,000 was the price. So, but I mean, they get it. You just DCA, and you put, if it's $50 a month, if it's $100 a month, if it's $25 a month, whatever you can afford. Don't overextend yourself, but by all means, do not let this scare you. And I'll admit, I mean, I in the past have been overextended out over my skis. And I've dialed that back to be like, you know what? Let's just be more reasonable here. You got your deep cold storage, and then you gotta play the game now and be safe, and you can collect all the coins you want, and try and win the game, but don't do it irresponsibly.
Yep.
Luke, you are typing away. What is on your mind?
I am working hard. I just think it's crazy that Japan, who has a debt to GDP ratio of 265%, so that is the highest in the world, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's really interesting that their debt just got twice as more expensive in the past 2 hours.
So what does that mean? Walk us through that. I mean,
so the yields on the Japanese government bond, they've been trying to peg those yields at 0.25% for the past. They've been trying to keep that under there for the past 8 years. They've been buying an unlimited amount of Japanese bonds, and that has obviously devalued their currency. So that's why the Japanese yen has lost 30% of its value against the dollar in the past 3 months. And they're kind of trying to make a decision. Do we save the currency, or do we save the bond market? So if the Japanese government has a debt to GDP of 265%, And the yields on those bonds just broke through that peg at 0.25%, and they've jumped to 0.46% at the time of recording. That means Japanese debt, the interest that they're paying on that massive 260% debt just doubled. Their financing costs just doubled. And I think it's really interesting. And so there's a shortage of dollars in Japan. They need US dollars, and they hold $1 trillion of US treasuries. Japan holds the most amount of US debt out of any other country. They hold more than China. So how are they going to get dollars? Sell treasuries. And the treasury market was already showing signs of illiquidity on Monday and earlier in the week. So it's all happening. That's what's on my mind. I think this is probably one of the biggest economic events I think this year. Maybe it's not quite as big as Putin and freezing the Russia central bank reserves, but
that was peanuts. That was irrelevant. They had like excess reserves like on hand domestically. Like that was just all a distraction.
You don't think that was the biggest event of 2022?
Fuck no.
What I've got it at number 1, and I've probably got the Japanese MMT experiment failing at number 2. I can't see any bigger economic events that have occurred this year.
Yeah, this one. Like this week, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you guys
I think a bigger one is that Russia demanding payment in rubles for all the shit they have that everybody wants in the world.
Yeah, that's what
commodities are out the window.
That's why I've got it at number 1. The whole Russia situation. You freeze.
Oh, I thought you meant like specifically freezing their reserve accounts, because that was nothing.
I see the freezing and then the creating a quasi gold standard as same event. But yeah.
Shit is broken.
And this is the biggest thing. So Bitcoiners are so doomy and gloomy at the moment. I'm saying Bitcoin. Hey,
I just called them pussies.
They are. I'm seeing people talk about Bitcoin going to 5K and it's going to stay there for 2 years.
No.
And people saying it with confidence. Yeah. I'm seeing more well-respected Bitcoiners say, yeah, look, we're going to go under 20K and we're going to be under there for 2 years. There's a long,
well-respected. Do they think they can like move markets and like make retail capitulate? Like that's just like a fuck you to the plebs if that's the case.
I think, just my personal opinion, this isn't financial advice.
Name names, Luke. Let's hear them.
I wouldn't be surprised if it dipped down. I think I texted you guys yesterday and said I think we see 15K, but I don't think it stays there long. Like I think it might be a wick where like if you want to set like a small buy order there, you might fall asleep and wake up and be like, oh, like it's still at the same price, but like why do I have more? Oh, that order filled while I was sleeping. But yeah, go ahead, Luke. Name names. Whose thing is gonna be like?
No, we don't have.
No.
By the way, Mark Moss is a fucking legend. I was chatting with him for like a couple hours at Tone Days the other night on Spaces, and he is doing God's work because he had Tom Luongo on. Very excited for that episode to come out, and he was just basically regurgitating what he said, like what I've been trying to say for months, and Mark just swooped in and was so eloquent with the Luongan thesis. It was just beautiful. And like he's got so much clout and respect, especially if his show is on iHeartRadio. And so I'm like, this is just amazing that somebody like him with so much credibility can actually go out there and tell people what the fuck has happened. He was saying everything on point. The Fed's doing this on purpose, and we're gonna have infrastructure come back to the US. And this is about killing the euro. Like people, I'm just so happy and proud to have Mark like say this stuff. He's planning to come on the show in a couple of weeks, but god damn it, it was beautiful. Like we need to wake people up and shake them that everything else that they have been told is a lie, and we are seeing like truth just like making people bleed out their eyes right now. That's what's happening.
It's where I started my tangent from. I'm more talking about TradFi bros. I'm more talking about option traders and option traders who are interested in Bitcoin. They're the ones I'm thinking of that are talking about Bitcoin going under 20K for 3 or 4 years. But where that tangent started, that I started a couple of minutes ago, was everybody's really bearish on Bitcoin. Everybody's saying this is slowing down adoption. This has pushed hyper Bitcoinization back. I actually think it's the exact opposite. And this is what everybody's missing on Twitter. The fact that you're watching the US try to break markets and blow up these currencies like the Japanese yen and the euro, that's bullish for Bitcoin. Because when the Japanese yen loses 35% of its value in the past 3 months, that wakes up the Japanese central bank. That wakes up the Japanese citizens. They start asking questions about money and thinking, hang on a minute, what the fuck is going on? Why is my money losing value? I see it as I've long thought that we're going to hit 8-figure Bitcoin this decade in today's dollars. It's not hyperinflated dollars. I honestly think you're going to hit 20, 30, 40, $50 million Bitcoin before the end of this decade. And I've been saying that for at least the past year. And I've gotten a little bit of smack on Twitter this week saying, oh, but Bitcoin's at 20K. Don't you think it's going to take longer now? Are you a little bit off base? No, I think it's actually going to come sooner because I think the collapse of the banking system and the breaking of financial markets accelerates hyper-Bitcoinization. So there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. It's probably a good note to maybe start rounding out the podcast on. This is actually all good for Bitcoin, and nobody gets that.
Yes, this is absolutely great for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
This is just like a market signal, a market mechanism, letting people know. And this is where, like, that capital flight, especially foreign capital. If every other currency is just trash, people are going to run to Bitcoin, right?
Because
especially remittances and sending payments and everything. This is absolutely bullish for Bitcoin.
It puts everything in
low time preference.
It flows into Bitcoin being the reserve currency, doesn't it? Because like everybody else, so we can see how the Fed just dictates the price of everything. And you know what I mean? It's so manipulated. So people are rushing to dollars, but do they want to stay somewhere where their wealth can be manipulated like that?
The Fed dictates the price of things to an extent, but I see what you mean. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's people are waking up to the fact that this is all imaginary.
Yeah,
these are fake numbers. These are fake units. And yeah, I see. Yeah, I hear all the people like, oh, it's gonna be under 20K for a couple of years. Like, no, not at all. Like a couple years. Like, hello, do you know that the halving is less than 2 years away? Like, you be kidding me?
Yeah.
And I can confirm for you now that I am a Bitcoin miner, the hash rate has dipped a little bit, but it's not going anywhere.
Woo.
Like, these miners are going. The only thing that I could see that causes a wick down is bigger miners that have to sell off coins. That could be. I saw Nick with his stash talking about it on Pumpliano the other day.
Carter?
Yesterday. Yeah, Nick Carter. And I like that Pumpliano's out there now telling everybody to be careful with their money.
Now he does.
Yeah, seriously. Anyways, that's another topic. But yeah, I could see that causing a little bit of a wick down. But I mean, like, it's not going to live. It's no matter where. I'm not saying that Bitcoin couldn't dip 50% from where it's at right now. I'm just saying that no matter what it does, it's not going to be there for long. And it's going to be really quick. So as people always say, don't try to catch a falling knife. Just stay humble, stack sats, and it'll be good to go. And like I've been telling people, I'm saying crush it in the fiat world. Like, that's what I've been putting my nose down and doing, is trying to like uncover all different ways that I can crush it fiat wise so that I can pump more corn into my cold storage. Like, that's the name of the game right now. The riches are made during the bear market.
Yeah.
It's what you do during the bear market. You can't just sit there and be like, well, I bought Bitcoin, so I'm going to wait for it to moon, and that's going to take care of everything. You still have to fiat mine, until you reach a point that you don't. You still have to mine fiat. And so kill it in the fiat world. Go to mymoviesplus.com and watch all the Bitcoin documentaries and help me crush it.
Uncut yourself, please.
Yes. help me crush it in the fiat world, which helps you crush it and helps the filmmakers crush it in the fiat world. Because if you join My Movies Plus, you'll get uncucked. You'll watch stuff that is uncensored, and you'll be able to help a Bitcoin company that sees that we are freedom of speech maximalists or Bitcoin maximalists. So
We say the quiet parts out loud.
yeah. So
you want to give a big fuck you to Netflix and Hulu and all these fucking woke ass corporations?
tell you want to change a lot of people's lives, help My Movies Plus. Well, help Movies Plus. Go to mymoviesplus.com. You want to change a lot of people's lives, subscribe and support the crap out of us, because we're turning around. I'm telling you, I'm not sitting on a pile of cash. I am turning around and reinvesting and putting it into movies, into everything that we need to get out there in the world. So anyways, but that's what I've been telling people: crush it in the fiat world, and just stack your stats, because it's insane. It won't be below 20K for long. It might go below it, but it won't be for long. I actually initially I put a buy order in at 15, and then I changed it to 17, because I was like, I don't even know if it'll wick to 15. Like, I don't know. That's just one of my buy orders to try and catch some extra sats. That you try to done that occasionally. Set the order, and like I said, fall asleep overnight, and wake up, you're like, holy crap, that filled. So yeah, I think that in general, though, the sentiment is pretty ugly in the very short term.
That's exactly right.
But
and imagine Bitcoin's down 70% from its all-time high, and sentiment's absolutely atrocious. You're never going to time a bottom, but generally scaling into Bitcoin when it's down 70% from its highs has worked out pretty well for you in the past 13 years. That's why the lower price goes in a mini bear market, the more bears come out of the woodwork, and they get more and more convinced that price is going lower. It's unbelievable. I don't think, yeah.
No, the anxiety that I have is that I'll tell you, because I said I've put my nose down. I've been crushing it in the fiat world, and I'm sitting there waiting on stuff, and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I just hope it stays here at this price, because like we can buy so much more Bitcoin than I ever thought we were going to have. Like, when I was convinced that Bitcoin was going to 100, 200, 300,000.
Guilty.
Like, yeah, we all thought that. And so I was like, man, like
I was a million. I thought we'd hit $1 million. See, I thought stock to flow would break. I thought this cycle.
You thought it would break up to the upside, right?
Well, I also tweeted out. I'll put the tweet in the show links, but I also thought there's a possibility we break to the downside, and then we also break it to the upside in the same year. This is how I see everything unfolding. I think breaking stock to flow to the downside and breaking financial markets accelerates hyper-Bitcoinization. And then the upside, I think the next run up, you're not going to stop at 100 or 200K. You're going all the way. That's how I see it all unfolding. But
people rock. Oh, shit. Oh, man, I forgot the lyrics. Hold on. Oh,
people.
Is that our closing out?
No. Hold on.
Is this our closing song, Phil?
Just a little too long.
Wait. What'd you say? Cory, what'd you say? Nose to the ground and like the fiat. Something?
Nose to the ground and crush it in the fiat world.
People crushing in the fiat world. There we go. That's what I wanted.
Let's stare just a little too long. Talk about love, love. Bitcoin.
I don't know what that is.
That's from Step Brothers. When Will Ferrell sings to John C. Reilly, and he goes, he sung in front of one person in my Songbird of my generation, and then he sings that song, and yeah, they start Prestige Worldwide after that.
That is an amazing movie. Absolutely amazing movie. And speaking of things that you're not going to see very often, you just saw six. Yeah, I got to bounce.
You just saw what?
You just saw 66% of the News Made Simple crew start singing on live air, and that's as much as you're going to see, because you're never going to catch me singing. So
I am not a singer. Well, here, so let's, before we wrap up, the last thing I want to talk about, because I agree with you, Luke. Like, this could be us breaking that to the downside right now. This could be that, And I actually could see it November that we're like breaking all-time high again. Like I actually agree with your thesis that the cycles are shorter now. I don't know, it's not like I'm not telling people put your money in and leverage long, blah blah blah. No, not at all. Be patient, stack sats. But the reason I bring that up is because how long can they raise rates? How long can the Fed continue this bloodbath?
Until
because,
the ECB dies.
Well, when's that going to be? Because they say, there's all these reports.
Pretty
it's
soon
be
if they need to have emergency
2024.
meetings.
Yeah, I think we're rehashing ourselves here. I think we talked about this for about 20 minutes, but
I know. I mean, I'm just saying, like there's a lot of people that are saying that the Fed says they're not going to cut rates until 2024. Do you see that as being possible?
Nope.
Yeah, they'll cut it as long as they need to. Simple as that.
No,
they'll raise for as long as they need to.
Okay, so it's whenever something
cut
breaks.
The process of raising until they've done their job, until the credibility is restored in the U.S. Treasuries, the dollar is strong, and we have capital flight back to the U.S. Simple as that.
So as soon as things break, that'd be time to go risk on.
I don't know.
I did another tweet this morning as well. Yesterday on my work account, and the Bitcoin actually bottoms before equity markets.
Yep.
So in March 2020, when the world was melting down, the bond market was illiquid for that second week of March. Stocks were crashing. Bitcoin bottomed on like March 13th. And the equity market didn't actually bottom until March 23rd, March 21st.
So leading indicator.
Yeah. So Powell and Kashkari didn't come out and announce QE Infinity until like March 20th, something like that. And Bitcoin had bottomed a week earlier. So Bitcoin actually is going to surprise most people. And I think everybody's expecting Bitcoin to be dead and it's prolonged bear market. I personally think you're going to see all-time highs faster than most people think. I think Bitcoin always surprises. When Bitcoin broke above 65K, all of us, myself included, I'm the hyper bull. I thought we were going to 200K, 500K, $1 million. But the max paying trade was down to 20.
I mean, remember, Luke, I thought I was totally screwed. I thought I was so screwed with my house selling situation. Because, I mean, it was inevitable. Like, we all knew it. We were like, this is it. Obviously, this is what we all spent that time on Twitter over the summer talking about. Here we are. I mean, I think the last tweet I had was it was like at 68 something, almost 69. And I tweeted like, boy, the internet's not going to be able to handle the memes whenever we get to $69,420. And we never made it to that. We made it to like 69.3 or something. And like, we never touched 69,420. And all we got to do is we got to break through that meme barrier. So somebody get in touch with Greg Zadge, tell him that we got to get through the meme barrier so that we can have he's probably got an entire computer dedicated to memes for $69,420. So, let's get there, plebs, and just hang tight, guys.
Speaking of which, speaking of tweets, happy Federal Reserve Independence Day, guys. Because on this day last year, the Fed was officially off the reservation because they raised the reverse repo rate by 5 basis points. Since then, over $2 trillion have been drained from the global economy, strengthening the dollar with stealth QT, and now raising the federal funds rate. So the Fed is off the reservation. Cry harder, kill harder, pussies. Buckle up.
Let's end it on that note. Cry harder, pussies.
And make sure that you guys get your Bitbox O2 hardware wallet. Please take your coins off exchanges. If you've learned anything here in the short term with all the things getting liquidated around you and the Celsiuses and this and that, and just get them off. Coinbase is trying to restrict withdrawals. Everybody is, except for the responsible Bitcoin only companies that we want to eventually be sponsors of this podcast. So go ahead.
We want Coinbase to sponsor us?
No. Like somebody like a Swan, somebody like the good responsible ones that wouldn't get liquidated.
So is it bad PR if I say pee on Coinbase's face right now?
No, definitely not.
Will that hurt our chances?
Coinbase is the enemy of Bitcoin. And I'll leave it at that. So go to shiftcrypto.ch/Bitcoin made simple. Use the promo code Bitcoin made simple to get 5% off and protect yourself from this dangerous market. All right, guys, we will talk to you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.